range with bots. You could test all your guns. You could do whatever you wanted. Even run little small situations. Like everyone wants that. Everyone does, and it just has not been addressed, even commented on by Ubisoft. Some changes like putting a pause feature in a custom game was teased a couple years ago, but it's taken 5 years to come out. And from a production side of Siege, this is huge because not only does that not mean we don't have to rehost every 2 minutes, but teams can take a tactical timeout instead of having to flip a router upside down and saying, oh, we have a sound bug or something like that. So I think there are a lot of changes that people want to see in this game happen, and I think that would be productive for everybody. But overall, my point would just be like, it's interesting. It's an interesting community that we hate our game so much, yet we love it and are so committed that we talk about it on a podcast, for example. It's that kind of thing.
I'm gonna give a hot take real quick.
Other than your Frost hot take.
Yeah. I firmly believe that people's hatred for the game is not actually toward the game. It's towards the people that they play against. And at the same time, the reason that people come back to the game is because those same people that they have a hatred towards, that beat them, it strives them to be better. And that's the reason they come back to the game, is because they want to be better at the game, right? They know that there's people out there that are better than them, and they see how well that they're doing, and they're like, I want to be like them. I want to be successful at this game, so I'm gonna play my ass off and I'm gonna get better at this game. Now, sure, there may be some things, some mechanics about the game that may be frustrating, but I don't think anyone really has an actual like hatred towards the game. It's really towards it's more towards themselves and the fact that they like want to get better, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it comes down to. I mean, unless I'm wrong, does anyone here actually like genuinely hate the game?
Well, the thing with me, because it's kind of like life. You always gonna have somebody that's better than you, so that part doesn't really get to me. It's just some of the decisions that they decide to make and decide not to make. That shit, that's what bothers me, because like with one of the main things that annoys me is how they're like, it seems like with every new season they're making the game more futuristic, and Siege isn't a game that needs to be futuristic like fucking Aruni. Like that shit. Like,
I completely agree with you. I've always kind of thought that as new operators come out, I'm like, what happened to the operators that just have a fucking car battery? Like they just attach to a garage door. Now we got people with fucking laser grid. Yeah, like laser grid fucking defenses and shit. Like,
yeah.
Are we Infinite Warfare or are we Modern Warfare? Like,
and it's not even like the aesthetic of it, because yeah, she has a laser grid on the door, fucking lasers, cool. But it's like, okay, they brought her out the same season that they implement the Jaeger nerf. So okay, do you want the projectiles to be caught or not? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that I don't know, bro. Shit just seems backwards to me sometimes, and it seems like they're confused themselves. Like somebody said it earlier, like it seems like they're kind of having an internal battle with a lot of different decisions. So me, as somebody that I would say for the most part I understand this game pretty good, you know what I'm saying, I don't a lot of this shit I just don't understand why they're doing it or why they haven't done it. Like the firing range, sick, everybody wants it. And another thing that they were talking about, like the theater mode, that would be sick for people like pro league teams. I know they kind of go back and review their VODs and all that themselves, but if they just had a theater mode to say, no, I was here and then I said this and you said you were doing this, but no, you were doing this, and then that would make it just so much easier to kill problems and get probably 10 times more coordinated. I feel like the theater mode would be really big. I feel like
if we could get Rocket League and Fortnite's kind of replay mode, where it's like, here are the key moments that happens and you can pivot the camera and see everyone who's in relevant space.
That would be sick.
And I mean, if you could write those events to the file and allow someone to harvest that data and be able to just put that out so that everyone can see where things happened. Better yet, you make it all streamable, so it's just got a link and you don't have to do it all in client, and you can just go to a website and browse this stuff, harvest the data, let people have access to an API or build their own thing that can harvest that stuff and give us some real true stats. Like show us efficiency with your gadget across all of the different operators that a player plays with. Money, chef kiss right there.
Yeah,
that would give me a whole lot more to talk about, right?
Exactly.
I've always wanted to ask this, Joe. You're game dev. Why, from your point of view, why do you think Ubisoft, like, if the entire community is calling for one specific feature in the game, and this entire time they just haven't done it? Why do you believe that is? Why do you believe that they're just refusing to put it in? Like, say, the firing range, right?
Firing range, there's no good reason for. I mean, I'm sorry. It's a map. It could be super simple. You could release it in like stage 1 where it's just a map and a target that refreshes every 20-30 seconds. That should be easy to set up. I mean, they've got rounds set up that reset the map. You could do something where you can set up a map. Like, you could go into one of the maps that exist and then just have it set up to be like, here's the firing area. You add a prop that's a target, and you don't have to build anything else. You could go farther and farther. You could go into that Valorant setup where you got the gun range, the distance marker, the reader, bots that show up, and like, difficulty modes for that, kill 100, kill 50, whatever. Like, all that stuff is simple by the tools that I've experienced across different games and different genres. That kind of stuff, a level should be easy for them to set up. I couldn't even fathom why they wouldn't set that up. Like, I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that there's programs and other developers that are doing things like AimLab that simulate Rainbow Six, and so they go, well, that program's already popular, let them, they'll handle it, we don't have to worry about it. But I think not communicating that, not pushing players to that direction, not answering the question from the community, that's a mistake. And other features like replays and a lot of the other heavy technical lift, it could just be outside of the scope of what the engine is capable of doing. I mean, if they built, like, say they built Rainbow Six off of like the Assassin's Creed engine, like, very incompatible games. You shouldn't be doing that. You should be building things tailor-made for the genre and the type of game with the type of events that you're looking at doing. So it could be a technical resource that's just not available for them to really do. Replays themselves are really difficult, especially because you're tracking server-side and client-side events, and you have to negotiate a lot of that. So the authenticity and the accuracy you also have to worry about. And if you can't get within a certain range of acceptance, and for competitive players, it's got to be in that 95-99% accurate. Otherwise, they're going to go, I can't trust this. It's of little use to me. And maybe they just haven't been able to get there. And that's, again, that's entirely possible. And legit reasons for them not to publish anything about that at this point, but to not communicate about it is the failure. And I think that's the hardest lesson for Ubisoft across esports, across their development, across wish list items from the community. They're just not talking to people. We saw a lot of that in the collegiate leagues.
And Migs made a great point in chat. He said that OG Hereford Bays had a firing range just do the same thing. That's just what I was thinking of as well. You literally had a spawn point in the middle of a firing range. Just take that area, slap it into its own thing, and leave it. Players just want the ability to be able to pick any gun in the game, put on infinite ammo, and just hold down left click. That is all we want, really. You know, you want to be able to practice flicking, practice your aim in game, you know, practice your recoil control. That was such an easy addition to the game. And so especially with the model already there in front of you. So it's an interesting point where we're at for sure.
And the alternate is that they give people a level editor to let the community start making their own maps, and then they'll fill that need as necessary. They'll fill every single need. They will start flooding Ubisoft with data about the types of maps that they want, the types of content that they want. That'll give content creators a whole lot more opportunity. I mean, just look what the creator codes did for Fortnite. Look what those creator cups did for that side of the community. If you want to talk about being inclusive and making sure that you have a game that people want to come back to play for a long time, custom content is a very easy win to get a lot of that.
Yeah, it seems like they have an extremely specific idea in mind, and they don't want anybody touching it. That's what it seems like. Because I mean, and I can't even be mad at them for that, because shit, they built this and people are still addicted to it right now. So, I mean, hey, maybe
If
they
it
know
ain't
what
broke,
they
don't
doing.
fix it.
Exactly. So, I don't know, but unless y'all want to go like deeper into that, I want to talk about the map banning thing, because that's a really big thing in ranked right now, and I
Please.
haven't learned any of the last 2 maps that came out yet. Skyscraper banned every time. Chalet banned every time. And I don't think that was the smartest thing, because people are not going. They're just gonna be lazy, bro. They're just gonna pick the easy way out. They're gonna play the maps that they already know. They're gonna ban the ones that they don't know because they haven't put in the time for it.
I agree. I think the map banning was, I think it was good in theory, and just bad in practice, right?
Yep.
Because I think they underestimated the amount of laziness that players have.
Yep.
Because I feel like when I play ranked in the map bans, I feel like I'm playing the same like 2 maps all night, right? Either Consulate, Bank, or
Club.
yeah, Clubhouse. That's it.
Yep.
And
So,
like map banning makes sense when you have a large enough map pool. Now, what we're looking at is that they introduced map banning without a large enough map pool, so that everyone bans the same maps because they've been playing a lot of the same maps for so long, and then when you add a rework, it shouldn't be in the ranked playlist at all for a long time. It should be isolated in quarantine. Leave that to public play. Leave that to get a whole bunch of data on, because they can still, if you're not playing it in ranked, you're still a plat 2. And you're playing it casually, they can see what your actions are doing, and they can dice up that data about how plats are playing this game, how anyone is playing this game, and they can look at it and make adjustments from there. So that's an opportunity for them to learn from this. But what we're looking at is they have a map ban function, but they don't have a large enough map pool, and they haven't been able to say, we have a map pool where we're just going to take maps out of the ranked list and leave it in the public map. And while those are going into development and being reworked or adding something else, they haven't gotten to a capacity that feeds both the player need for casual, the player need for ranked, and supporting a map ban. Like, you look at World of Tanks, you get so many maps available, and then they pull some out, they'll rework them, and then they rotate them in at another cadence. But they have a stupid amount of maps, and they're incredibly complicated for what that game is. So they also know that there's a certain capacity that players can have in their brain, and you don't want to flood them with 20 maps at a random rotation, because you'll never learn all of it. You'll never learn and play enough on that map to learn it. So there's a delicate balance that Rainbow Six has to strike, and they're just not there yet.
I agree that the balance is definitely not quite there, but I think overall, I disagree on the like miss of the ban part of the thing. In general, I think as a player, it used to be like playing since early days. Every single map was a ranked map. So you'd get Plane, you'd get Yacht, you'd get Favelas, you'd get all of these, you get old Skyscraper, you'd get all of these maps that are, in generally objectively garbage maps, and you would get them in ranked with stuff on the line, and you would just drop your chin and be like, why did I queue again?
Yeah.
And like the fact that your enjoyment in a game could be so a result of what map you get randomly assigned, that I think, honestly, I think this was a positive change. Where I think the balance is off is, like we saw them whittle down their map pool to maps that they, talked about as competitively viable and the ones that they want to make players play on, those like 7 or 8 maps in the ranked pool. I think combining that, because they had that before they had the ban phase, or like, so maybe if you add the ban phase, maybe you open it up to the larger pool of maps, and maybe you have, maybe maybe it's 5 maps you see and you vote instead of you ban. That way I guess in that way there's obviously going to be issues with that system as well, but combining the two restrictions, the here's your map pool and then the ban, what we see, like everybody mentioned, that is why we see you're only going to play a handful of maps. You're never playing Chalet, Skyscraper, Canal. You're never playing these. And I'm not mad about the Canal thing. But you're just not going to ever play these maps because players don't want to take the time to learn them, or they just hate them. So I think overall, in my opinion, positive change, because it makes it more enjoyable as a player, because I know when I queue, I have a say in how much enjoyment I want to have out of this match, or how much I have to worry about knowing the map or not. But I do agree with everybody that the balance is something that is missing.
See, that's the funny thing though. Siege isn't about enjoyment. It's about sweating and crying. Cause so that's the thing. Like the horrible maps. Like no, it's a few people out here that like Canal, but I hate it. You hate it apparently. So okay, we both hate it. But
I like it.
He likes it. So it's like parts of it that are cool. They ain't the point. Look, check this out. So the feeling, like you saying, you get fucking Canal or Outback or something, fucking head drop, disappointed, but you're like, all right, we gotta do this. We gotta come to the occasion. And then if you get smacked on there, you're like, bro, we have to learn this map so you don't get smacked on it. So that's just like one of those things that Siege brings to the table. Like, it's just feelings, bro. Like, it ain't a lot of games that bring out emotions like Siege does, because Call of Duty, you're like, man, fuck this shit, I'm leaving this game. But no, ranked, it's shit on the line. It's fucking, it's maps you don't want to be on, but now you're here, so you got to deal with it. So it's because I play Siege to sweat. I come here to get my dreams crushed. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, the game should be a struggle. I feel like that's how it should be. I don't think anything on this game should be easy, because it's not an easy game. It wasn't built to be. You came to come with 5 people and learn together and fucking lose together.
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, you'd be doing the Rainbow Six franchise a disservice if you made any bit of it easy. The old school Rainbow Six games, punishing, like legit punishing PC games. So if they took that away and they tried going that Call of Duty route where it's just like run and gun at all times, not taking away anything from the skilled Call of Duty players, but it's a different skill, and it's arcade to simulation. Like it's Mario Kart to Forza kind of comparison in my mind. Like, you can be good at both, and there's a competitiveness to each, but Rainbow Six is more on that simulation side, which is why I hate murder holes and dying in one bullet and not knowing where it came from. But that's the game. Get sweaty, get pissed. Like, that's the deal.
Yeah.
Well, good thing about that is they're right now they're trying to decide whether or not they want to make bullet holes completely visible or not visible at all. So like, if when you shoot something, it doesn't even make you can't see through the bullet hole, right? Or if you do make a bullet hole, it's really visible, so you don't get killed by a bullet hole through a barricade into your spawn.
See, I can appreciate that, because there's already so many angles you have to check and be knowledgeable of where another person might be depending on their operator choice. Like, you have to know that, and that's part of that map knowledge. When you add the fact that a single bullet hole anywhere in that entire angle sweep could be your death, like, that's impossible to plan for, and it feels like the game is cheating more than you got outplayed.
Not for sure. No, bullet holes are cheap. That's easy. Yeah.
I went to the major in Raleigh last year, I believe it was, right? And I sat down and had a pretty long conversation with Jeremy Dowsett, one of the level designers. And we were outside smoking and just chatting for a while, and I was just asking him about like his perspective on level design and like why they decided to like rework a lot of the maps. And they said that like when the game was originally made and they made their maps, they didn't underestimate, or they didn't take into account how smart players would be. They underestimated players' abilities to find ridiculous ways to play the game. And so once they started realizing that like, okay, like we messed up because players are becoming way too smart at this game. So like when the game first came out, like playing in Favela, those maps were okay. Like I remember playing Favela and it was fun. But as the player base started evolving and becoming smarter about playing the game, those maps immediately then became terrible because people were finding dumb ways to play the game.
Sure.
And that's what he was saying is like the way that they thought the game was going to be played, the maps were good, but when people started changing the entire play style of the game, the maps became bad. And so they're like, yeah, we're having to relook at literally every single map because of that. So
that's something else I was going to talk about too, the map reworks. It seems like they do a little bit too much on the map reworks, because I've been a Skyscraper maybe like a total of like 2 hours maybe, and it wasn't like on some like detailed inspection. I was just in there playing it on cash, so so I could learn where everything is, see how much they changed it. Skyscraper is, at least from my first few looks at it, one of the closer to a hit than a miss on a rework, because it seems like they changed a little bit. We gonna grab him. Okay. It seems like they change a little bit too much at times, where they know the main problems that should be fixed on the map, like how they did on Chalet. Like I really like how they did Snowmobile Garage. Like they put the filing cabinet there so you could still like have some pressure on the garage door when it gets a breach, but you got two different ways to watch from blue now. So so it's still a hot spot to be at, but at least you have cover from something, because at first all you had was like the bomb to sit on maybe, and you was probably gonna die from that most of the time. But I haven't played Skyscraper in rank, so I don't know the spots for that. Geisha, they put that big thing in the middle of the room, whatever that is, so you could still hold the wall, it still has some protection from the window. But the same thing is you coming from, what is it, terrace, I think, and then you still got the stairs to worry about. So those are two like pressure points that I feel like they did really good. But it's Canal. Can y'all like tell me how Canal has changed? Because I didn't play the original one, because I only came in at health, so I didn't see what that was like in rank.
I'm trying to remember. I played the old Canal a ton, but it's been so long that I don't really remember. But
it's so hard to remember the old format of some maps. Like where exactly did they change it? Because but Canal, like there's two bridges now, like up in like I call it New Bridge because that's what it is. But like over in like Printer going towards like the buildings were fully separated.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the buildings were fully separated, and the only thing connecting them, like the roofs did not connect. The only thing connecting them was the bridge in between where the spawn peaks happen from. And kayaks was crazy different. There was no blue staircase. That just didn't exist. It was just the main stairs and trench. Scuba and that entire side of the map was not a thing. It was simply like a big old garage wall where all the hard breach went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
you could easily run out from like the other side in like garage on the bottom of, I don't know how it works now because I don't go down in there anymore, but on the bottom side of that other building, you could like run out of that garage and like see everybody in, because there was no run out timer when you were in the garage itself, and you could see fully outside through these big gaping doors, and you could have full sight onto Kayak Wall, and it was a mess. It was a mess.
That was where I love to sit with was Cade available when the old, I forget, I sat out there with some powerful weapon, and I would just sit behind the car, and they're sitting there trying to hard breach, and just shoot them right in the head as they're trying to put the thermite charge on.
Yep.
You know, it was way too open, and the reason that a lot of these reworks happen is they're like, a lot of players are saying, you know, why are they reworking this map or whatever? It's because if you go look at statistics, I would say that almost every single map is defender favored, right? The entire game has been defender favored for a while, and the reworks are supposed to give attackers more options instead of having everyone feed through two tiny little doorways, right? That everyone can just, and there's too much utility now that, like, even if they saw the old format, you just put literally all your utility on both doorways, and like nobody would ever be able to get in, ever. And so having a lot more options for the attackers makes the game play a little bit more smoothly and less frustrating. So
Yeah.
Okay, last topic, and this was something Juhcuzi wanted to get to earlier. We'll keep it short and sweet. Favorite or least favorite weapon, and why, and what you would do to improve it if you choose your least favorite weapon. Start with Syntax.
Currently, my favorite weapon, and everyone's gonna laugh, but you probably laugh because you haven't used it, is the ACS 12.
Yeah.
On Maestro and Alibi, the shotgun. I was like, why in the fuck are you running that? Well, it's a slug shotgun that has a scope on it. That's all I need to say. If you can aim, you can slap people around with it. I can't tell you how many times I have gone into ranked games, been playing Alibi with the ACS 12. People are like, you're an idiot. Like, why are you throwing? And I get like a 4K with it, and people are like, this guy's a god. Like, what is going on? You know, like, I'm like, bro, everyone sleeps on this gun. It's so much fun, and nobody ever uses it. And I think a lot of people are starting to use it now. Like, I saw a Joystick a couple months ago in Pro League use the ACS 12 and got a 4K on it. I'm like, yes, no more people are starting to use this gun. It's so much fun. But for my least favorite gun, I would have to say, I'm trying to go through all the guns right now in my head. I would have to say the F2 is my least favorite gun.
Damn.
And not just because it's ridiculously good. It is a good gun, but I just don't like it. It shoots way too fast, and it just has a ton of recoil. I mean, unless you're just yanking your mouse down every single time you use it, it's just not a practical gun to use. And since they buffed her DMR, her DMR is really good. And if you can aim, if you have first shot precision, her DMR is a lot better than the F2. It's got 21 bullets. It's a massive magazine. You can just unload with that thing. So if you have any sort of precision and a good trigger finger, the DMR is 10 times better than the F2. And I don't know. I guess that's my only reason. I like pretty much every gun in the game. Yeah, I think that the F2 is probably one of my least favorite.
I mean, I consider myself a Twitch main because she was the first operator that really worked for me, and the F2 is the first weapon that felt right to me after coming from so many other shooter games. So it's funny that you absolutely hate it, but it's like it's my vibe right from the get-go. I can pretty much say any of the secondary weapons are my least favorite. Any of the pistols, I absolutely just I either don't live long enough to pull it out and practice it with it regularly. Hello, I need a gun range for God's sake, or like I just never end up doing well whenever I get a pistol out, and it's just half the time it's like I don't get them out often. Like there's no pistol around like in Valorant or CS, like so there's no reason to pull it out unless you are out of bullets and you know you don't have time to reload. That comes down to very few circumstances when you're solo queuing and you have no communication from your teammates. So it's just really hard to get into that practice of pulling it out and using it for a good reason. So secondary weapons, my least favorite, just because they're impractical for a very bad player or someone who's solo queuing without any sort of communication.
You know what I found interesting? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just crazy. But with pistols, all the pistols feel different. Even though that aiming is all the same, some pistols I am dead shot accurate with, and some pistols I am absolutely terrible with. Why? I have no idea. I don't know if that's the same with anybody else. Like with the 5.7 USG, I am dead shot accurate. With Buck and Frost pistols, I'm dead shot accurate. God forbid I hit a shot with Caviar or Capitão's pistol. I don't
Revolvers too. I can't hit shot with the revolvers either.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but.
All right, Jay-Z, what about you?
I don't know. I don't have a favorite gun. I'd say my favorite gun, simply because I feel like it's always hated on, is Thermite's 5.56. I'm a big fan of that gun because I just love the way it shoots. I love getting one taps with that thing. I love the pop it makes. But I think people hate on Thermite's gun for some reason. But honestly, I love it. So I'll go with that.
That gun slaps. I don't know.
Least favorite?
Oof. I mean, I struggle with pistols as well. I for some reason I can't seem to aim the way the iron sights work. I just cannot click heads with the pistols at all. That's just because I'm terrible. But I think it's either pistols or, you know, the MPX is a great gun. Fire rate is king, of course, but the fact that it does like -2 damage to the body really bugs me. Because like I'll empty a mag into somebody when I'm like running out as Valkyrie as they're like on a rappel, and then they don't die. It's because I missed their head, obviously, but like I'll put 100 rounds in their body, it feels like, with an entire mag, and it just doesn't kill them, and I'm just like, oh my god, pea shooter, whatever.
Yeah. For me, I think I got a slept on gun, bro. The MP5K, bro, I love the MP5K. So hold on. It's kind of a tie between that and the FMG, because it's always like for Pro League, the better option is always a shotgun. You need rotates and all that shit, of course. So, you know, it's just not even viable to pick it in like super high top tier. But in ranked, it's like the perfect balance of fire rate and damage, because it shoots fast and you can kill somebody in the body. Like, you're not gonna walk away from a lot of gunfights. If you hit all your shots, you gonna mostly win those. So I like the MP5K a lot, especially since they add the 1.5 to it. And least favorite gun, probably Cavs M12. Like, it's like kind of horrible.
Is that the grease gun or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even play Cav, but
it has like a 2 fire rate.
Exactly. So somebody could literally quick peek out in between your bullets and cap you in the head unless you hit them in the head first.
Well, it's because her gun is literally a World War II weapon. I don't know if you guys have noticed. That's why it's called. It's literally, go look up a grease gun. Yeah. That's what it's called. Yeah, it's a German gun, a grease gun. Yeah.
Yeah. So that shit's horrible. So pick the shotgun on Cav every time. Moral of the story.
Yeah. I agree. I actually like when Cav first came out, I remember, okay, I'm going to try a new operator. I'm going to be like, start expanding my horizons, try and get a little bit better, understand how this operator is going to be abused against me because I'm not going to stand a chance. But I had such a bad week with her, just like not feeling any of the guns, any of the weapons, the pistol, the grease gun. I tried it all. I legit tried. Okay, like I'm going to look at the stats. We're going to understand this. We're going to like just go and try and just hardcore lean into it. I could not make heads or tails of any of my performance, whether it was like, hey, look at that quad kill all you got in a round. Could not replicate it for the life of me for like the next week. Like, okay, I don't get it. So I completely get on that. But like to hear Syntax and even Juhcuzi talking like pistols, like yeah, hit or miss, like can't tell. But then JC and I go and hate pistols. We're bad at the game. It's not on us. It is pistols. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that right now. It's not on us. So we've gone over quite a few topics. I appreciate you guys coming out and talking with us. Great conversation. Would love to have you guys back again. Maybe in a little bit after like the spring season, see how updates and patches roll out, see how everybody's holding on to the new community. But I want to give you guys a chance to do a shout out to your communities. Let my community know how they can keep in contact with you all, what content you're making, what you're up to, and we'll go ahead and go with Jay-Z on this one first.
Sure. Well, only social I need to plug is my Twitter. It's Jzwills R6. Same as spelled on the overlay there if you're watching. But yeah, I usually just post where I'm casting. But other than that, I'm just casting most nights of the week, usually CEA or CR6. I'll be doing most matches for CR6 Winter, which is going to go on between now and the spring season. So I'll be doing all of those. You can find me there. You can find me over at SCS, casting a variety of those matches, usually on Thursday nights. Yeah, and you know, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll always see where I'm headed. Sometimes I get a chance to do something bigger. I did a pretty big CCS Nerd Street Gamers tournament the other day with $2,500 prize pool and big invitational coming up in February. So that's going to be interesting. So just follow me on Twitter and you can see all that.
Rad. Juhcuzi.
All right, man. Well, first off, shout out Swim Team, my community. They the only reason I'm here right now. So shout out them, everybody. And yeah, bro, if you want to find me on anything, it's literally Juhcuzi everywhere. Juhcuzi. I'm like I mentioned earlier, coming from console to PC. So if you missed the old rank days, because it sounds like y'all talking to a higher level community than just some rank gunners. So if you miss the rank vibes and the rank scene, seeing how that goes, I can get y'all some of that on my Twitch. I literally just quit my job to be a full-time streamer. So yeah, I'm about to be streaming a lot of Siege on there. TikTok, I don't know if anybody here cares about TikTok. TikTok Juhcuzi, Twitter Juhcuzi, Instagram Juhcuzi. Same thing for YouTube too.
There you go. Congrats on the jump to full-time content creator, and good luck with that. That's going to be an uphill battle, but it's huge. It's a big step, and so congrats and good luck.
Thanks, man.
Syntax, everyone knows where you're at, but why don't you give it a shout out anyways?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at syntaxgg, on Twitch at syntax_gg, and then on YouTube at syntaxgg. So yeah.
Nice.
And I'm at Warlocker Call pretty much everywhere. If you hit up the Linktree link in my Twitter profile, it'll take you everywhere. As far as the podcast goes, again, link in the Linktree. But for everyone listening, anchor.fm/checkyour6 with the numeral 6 there. That's where you can listen to the latest and greatest each week. This is actually the last podcast of the year. We're going to take a couple weeks. I'm going to work on that mega spreadsheet, trying to get some data from all the collegiate leagues so that we can talk specific players, teams, performances, all that stuff, and be ready to talk spring season as that gets rolling. So I'm going to be nose deep in spreadsheets, but feel free to keep sending in the messages and the feedback and what you want to talk about, or if there's any events going on that you want to raise the signal on. You can reach myself at Warlocker Call as normal, but for the podcast, for Syntax and I, and future guests to comment on anchor.fm/checkyour6/message. And that will give you a direct line to the podcast, and we will keep in contact with everyone going forward. But for Check Your Six, this is the end of the year. Everyone stay safe, mask up, have a happy holidays, and we will see you in the new year. Later, everybody.